Hey, y'all, welcome back to Chatting with Coach Amy. Today, I'm with my one-on-one client / Bloom, Bridget. Are you excited to be here, Bridget?
I am. I'm supposed to hit got it, but it's there. I hit it 3 times. It just didn't want to hear me.
Oh, are you sure you're ready? You ready for this? All right.
No.
So, I don't want to make you cry, but when I first met Bridget, I just wanted to drive straight to her house and sit in her living room and just hold her hands and hug her neck for hours and hours and drink all the coffee because I just felt like she needed that friend. And I think that's kind of what I have become. Am I wrong?
Not entirely, no. And
And then go ahead.
that was that the camp, the
Yeah.
first talk when I was
Yeah. Your discovery
I
call.
was saying later that you thought I was just at the end. Oh yeah, pretty much.
You were at the end. And for those of you that are watching or you've seen this on social media, this is kind of talking to you in the future from where we are right now. But look at her before and after, y'all. Like, oh my word, the changes that you have made. Incredible. Incredible.
I'm really glad that I already knew to take pictures. I mean, you asked for pictures, but I already knew that. The pictures are showing more even than the inch measurements, which I have someplace and I didn't find. Whatever I sent you at the end of August,
Yeah,
that's good.
I can find it. I can find it.
That's
So incredible. So go ahead and tell us about yourself there, ma'am.
My name is Bridget, Bridget Trefethen. People don't know how to pronounce that.
I wasn't even going to try that one.
Trefethen, like feather, but Fethen.
Oh.
Um, and no, I didn't know how to say it for the first like 6, 8, 10 weeks that I knew my husband, because his first name is Vance. And when he orders pizza or puts in a reservation or whatever, he doesn't give his last name. He just gives his first name.
I just can't blame him.
Me either. And so I never heard him say it, so I didn't know how to say it either.
I love it.
I'm 58 and we've been married for 30, math just left. We got married in 86 and this is 2003, 23. And so I can't do the math.
Let me look. My brain doesn't want to work either. 2023 and 1986, 37 years.
37. Got there about the same time.
Yeah, love it.
And we met in college. He was a senior and I was a junior, and I graduated with my MRS, as they used to say back then. We have lived in a bunch of places, but 2 years after we got married, we had our first daughter, who is 36. Yes, no, 35. Her friend just turned 36. And I'm like, wait, 36, is that right? And she's our oldest is 35 and our youngest is 32. And we have a grandson who's 7.5. I take care of him 3 days a week most of the time. And have 2 granddaughters, age 7 and 4.5. She boggles my mind. I can't keep her number, and I think she's I don't know why I can't keep her straight. And yeah, that's all good. Go ahead.
Did you homeschool your girls?
We homeschooled from halfway through kindergarten for my oldest. So the youngest was homeschooled all the way through.
Okay.
And now I help homeschool my grandson, but my patience is down here. And he's also a boy.
Oh, those boys.
And so I didn't do boys. I did girls.
Yeah, I feel you. So you understand my shock when we went three girls and then a boy, and oh, you're gonna get another boy. It's fun. We're learning. I'm doing baseball all weekend. It's gonna be wonderful. It's gonna be
Oh,
wonderful.
boy.
Yeah, I love being a baseball mom. Okay, so tell me how you learned about Trim Healthy Mama.
I was in an online, it was an email group. It's an
Oh,
email, wasn't so much of online. Started around 2000, I think. One of my friends, Christina Johnson, who's done your podcast before, and she's in
yeah.
Blooms. She was in that group, and I met her in person, but I can't remember if I met her in person. No, I think I'd already met her in person. She was one of the people who was doing Trim Healthy Mama back then, or back early. But there was a homeschooling email group, and then this it's called Win by Losing, but it was we want to lose weight and we want to help each other.
Right.
Group in that group is where somebody started doing Trim Healthy Mama, and then somebody else was, and then somebody else was, and meanwhile I did Weight Watchers, and I did Curves, including the Curves diet. And before that, long before that, I did other diets. There's one just for me diet something, I don't remember, but it was sponsored by the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I did hospital ones in 2 different cities that we lived in because we moved a lot. And had, I don't know, similar experience with both of them. One thing that I learned with that, which has carried on, was back, and preface this with, I am I'm postmenopausal because I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so back then I wasn't. So I always thought it had to do with my cycle. And I still think it does. It is.
Oh, you muted.
I have no idea.
That's okay.
I have no idea.
You're good. You're good.
Anyway, it had to do with my cycle, but it wasn't like the week before I started, I would be gaining weight. But every, in a 4-week period, I would lose a little, gain a little, and then lose a lot. And then lose a little, gain a little, and lose a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that gain is always frustrating. But I had finally figured out that it was going to keep following that pattern.
Yeah.
So when I started Trim Healthy Mama, we lived in France. We lived there for 4.5 years, and this was about a year and a half before we moved back. So in August of 2014, we came back to the States for 4 weeks or so in the summer. And I think I'd already ordered the book, so it was waiting for me. And I looked at it, but I didn't really, I must have read it before we got back, because when we got back to France, I started.
Mm.
And that's one thing I'm noticing. Well, and other people, and you advise people, just one meal at a time if you can. One meal a day is better than none.
Right.
Well, that doesn't work for me. Because I won't stick to it. If I'm just doing one, I wouldn't stick to it. But
Yeah.
in France, I didn't have a scale, so I don't even know. I can't remember when I weighed. Maybe I weighed while we were in the US and I used that weight. I'm not positive, but I know that over the year that I was on plan, or not even quite a year, actually, I lost 50 pounds. I could get a lot of the products that I needed there. You can get almond meal.
Mm-hmm.
The baking blend wasn't a thing yet, but
Right.
Brianna Thomas came up with her mixture, and they had, I think, in somewhere they had come up with a recipe for a baking blend.
Yep.
But you can get almond meal, and you can get almond milk some of the time. Coconut oil, that was interesting to find. That was an adventure, to say the least. That was crazy. But then there was something, and it might have been coconut oil, that sometimes they would have it and sometimes they wouldn't, and you wouldn't know.
Right.
So you saw it, you better get it. And cottage cheese and, believe it or not, Greek yogurt are neither one a thing. They had Greek style yogurt, but it's thickened with something. I don't remember what. But I'm like, Greek style, what is that? And it's thickened.
Yeah.
So Christina's the one who they have a product which they tried selling here, marketing in the United States a couple years ago, called fromage blanc, which just translates to white cheese. The way it's made is the same principle as how cottage cheese is made, but it's super fine texture, not quite yogurt, not quite as smooth as yogurt, but almost. And so I asked on our group, and Christina's the one to answer me. I said, is there anybody who can give me the specs on the Greek yogurt so I can see where this fromage blanc lands as far as the protein and the carbs and, whatever it has. And it's real close. It's anybody who needs to do something in Europe, it's a very good substitute, but it's not fermented. So if you need the fermented, that's another subject, but I'm finding more and more trouble with dairy. But so far I'm not seeing that I have trouble with yogurt, which is a good thing, because if you look at my food, you see it all the time.
Yeah.
But when I have cheese, I have more problem. So being in France, we'd been there for a while at that point. There were only a couple things that I missed eating, because long time ago, even before I was on Weight Watchers, I had come to the conclusion that wheat does not like me, or I like wheat, depends on your point of view. And so if I was being careful, I wasn't eating wheat anyway. So I wasn't eating the baguettes anyway. I wasn't eating the bun on the hamburger. I don't know if we ever talked about that. We have a joke now about the Impossible Burger, which I know there's one here, but wait, I know there's one here, Impossible Burger. We would go to just this little sandwich. Well, it's doner kebab, whatever however you say that. And it's like the meat, like the Euro meat, Greek restaurant. It's that same kind of meat, but they also have hamburgers. And you tell them what vegetables you want on your hamburger and what sauce. So my husband went over there and asked them. We wrote it down so that they could read it. Turned out the guy couldn't read. I wrote it in French. I wrote it in French. And he said he couldn't read, and we never were sure if he couldn't read French or couldn't read. He couldn't read. So my husband had to explain it to him that I wanted the hamburger with no bread, with no bun. And he said, c'est impossible. It's impossible. Proceeded to put it in the container with, some cabbage and tomato and onion, like I asked, and mayonnaise. But every single solitary different person in that restaurant who was asked to do it that way, the first answer was, c'est impossible. And then my husband was telling me, because he usually went over there and ordered it. And he said this one fellow, when the new person said, c'est impossible, the guy said, no, and showed him how to do it.
That's so funny.
So we created the Impossible Burger before
you did.
the Impossible Burger.
That's what we're gonna start calling it. No longer it will no longer be the bunless burger. It'll be the Impossible Burger. That's so funny. I love it. So how long did y'all stay in France?
We were there for 4.5 years.
4.5 years. And were you on plan that whole time?
No, I was on plan from 2014 to 15. So it was We'd been there I guess we'd been there for 3 years when I started. And I can't remember if while I was on plan, if I was drinking any diet soda, but that was one thing that I had trouble when I would come back here because I wanted to drink all the diet soda because they had a few flavors, but none of them were ones I cared about.
Yeah. So then
and
coming back to the United States, and did you choose to stay on plan, or when was the time that you waned?
I came back and I wanted to be on plan at the same time that all the things that I hadn't eaten for a year were available.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A being way top of the list. And your cup, but
oh, that's kind of funny.
but Chick-fil-A and then just other stuff, and then it's easier to eat the bun and things like that. And even without the information from Jamelty Mama with the sugar and all that, I can tell you that the bread buns wheat does not make me feel good. It gets in my knees. It's not good. But it didn't take terribly long before I wasn't on plan. And then in between 2015 and 2022, somehow my brain has left out what year we are in right now.
Okay.
And between then, I would be on plan for a month or 2 months, and I would lose weight, and then I would go back off, and then I'd be on, and then I go back off until it was just like, well, I know it works. I do know it works. That's why I kept trying, but I can't do it by myself. And everything was just getting worse and worse. And my husband had been trying diet pills. Anyway, I know a number of people who use them, and some who use them with great success, and some who use them with temporary success. And I knew that wasn't going to work for me anyway. I mean, it wasn't going to be a thing for me to do anyway, because one of the things those are supposed to make you feel less hungry.
Right.
And I have noticed, now that I think about it, that I am more aware of when I'm hungry.
Oh, yeah.
More better aware, and I'm not just eating because it tastes good. But that's the thing. The doctor's like, well, you will be less hungry. I'm like, that's not for me. That's not the thing. It's how it tastes. It's wanting to keep tasting, or, I can be full and eat. I can easily be full and eat. So anytime somebody said that, I'm thinking that's not the deal.
Yeah.
But one thing about being in France, I started to say, is I wasn't weighing except when I was in a doctor's office where there was a scale, which was infrequent. And I can't remember why they decided to send me to a cardiologist. I only went once. I mean, I just went, and he had a scale in his office. I said, oh, je suis en régime. And I can't remember how I asked, but I said, can I use the scale? I'm on a diet. Can I get on your scale? And for me, doing it every 2 months, 3 months or so, it's a lot better than doing it. If I get on the scale every week, I will be crying all the time, even though I know it goes up and down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like two weeks ago, week and a half, whenever it was, I got on the scale like 2 weeks ago because a bunch of people had said, oh, your face looks thinner. And I wasn't disagreeing. And it had gone up. I'm like, that's not even funny, people. The reason I don't get on the scale but once a month.
Right.
That's annoying.
Stick with your plan, Bridget. Stick with your plan.
But the 50-pound mark was, it actually was about, on the first time in 2014, it was about 10 and a half months. because and now this is using different scales, different people's scales. So but I went on a cruise, which is another story. But you do a tour of the ship, and they're trying to sell you on, the spa treatments and stuff. And you're in the exercise room, and there was a scale. And I said, "Can I get on the scale?" Like, sure. I was crying because that was my 50-pound mark. I hit it. But
On a
now
cruise.
on a cruise, that was the beginning of the cruise. I was not perfect on that cruise, but I did know that if I was not careful, I wouldn't be able to walk and
Oh yeah, I feel
places
that.
and going places, and you got to be able to walk. And
Yep. Enjoy your trip. I'm with you on that. I teach that all the time. Look, going traveling and all that. Shoot, I I have no business having headaches and a stomach ache when I'm traveling or on the holidays. I want to feel good, 100%.
the other last Saturday, we had a ladies' day with church, and had lunch afterwards at a different facility. And since I'm one of the hostesses, I was doing all the things, with the food to get the ice and all that stuff. And I did make desserts for it. And I will say that if I was not unplanned, I would have eaten my desserts because those are the ones I liked. Somebody said, I can't remember how many cakes they said, 13, 14, 15. I don't remember. I know there were a lot of cakes. The cakes wouldn't have interested me as much as the trifles that I made, because that's where I tend to lean.
Yeah.
I almost made one for myself, but by the time I got to that point, I'm like, I'm good. I'll just take some. What did I take? I don't even remember what I took, because it was, I know, the almond cookies from
Oh, cool.
Aldi, because I had opened some the night before when we went out to dinner. I actually had them in my purse. No, I didn't steal them. I had them in my purse, and I had them for dessert the night after dinner. And I thought, you know what? I don't even feel like fooling with it, and these are fine. So that's what I had. But I was thinking, if I had eaten all that sugar, my feet would have been, I wouldn't have been able to stand up. And the next day, I wouldn't have been able to get out of the bed.
Right. That's right. It's just not worth it. It's just not. So what brought you in 2002? Where were you in 2002?
I was in a lot of pain. And I didn't realize how puffy I was, not just looked, was. This shirt, for instance, this is a 3X. I had just gotten it. It wouldn't fit. But the other 3Xs from the same company that I already had, they were getting snug. But the picture, if the picture that you have, that shirt is white with blue stars, is a 3X. And I'm keeping it because I picked it because I wanted to be very specific.
Yep.
Which one was,
for your before and still goings, yes.
And so that one's staying, even if the rest of them go somewhere else. But that's a 3X, and this is a 3X, and they're from the same company, but they didn't fit the same.
Wow.
This fits really pretty well now, but it just I didn't realize how bad it all was, really, until it started getting better. Thing that still, for those who are like, oh, but I still am in pain. Yeah, okay, I still am too, because my knees are gone. They've been gone since before we were in France. I had an MRI on my knees in France, and the guy told me I was too young to have a knee replacement.
Wow.
So he wouldn't do it because I was too young.
Yeah, because they'll just wear out. You have to do it again.
Yeah. So I talked to somebody here, and they said they were very diplomatic. Did an X-ray, and they'll do something more later when it's closer to it, I expect. I mean, they'll do a different kind of scan besides an X-ray. But he said that the hospital wouldn't let them do knee surgery, probably not hip surgery either, But we weren't talking about that. Under a certain, above a certain BMI. He didn't specify the BMI. He just said it's complicated. I know, I've had it done once or twice, really not very often, but it's a complicated formula. I know.
Mhm.
And then he said, bottom line is you would need to weigh between 190 and 200 pounds before the hospital would let
Wow.
them do it.
Wow.
Now, I don't know what would happen if you had an accident and had to have it done. I don't know. Let's not. But but the thing is, I know people who've had knee surgery and not terribly long ago, and it's a lot of hard work to go through the
Yes. The recovery and the
physical
healing
therapy.
therapy. Mhm.
Um, and there was conversation with this one person while he was still recovering. And then when he'd gotten past the worst part, he's like, okay, now I'm glad I did it. But I was wondering what in the world I had done.
Gracious.
So I feel like maybe I'm forewarned, but at the same time, they're gone. I can't walk. I can't walk. I
Mhm.
know, when not just you, but a lot of people exercise. We'll just walk to the mailbox. We'll just walk a little farther. Right? The
I can't.
mailbox is I can go to the mailbox if I have to,
Right.
but it's not it's it's not the weight, it's my knees.
Right. Right.
They're getting I had actually hoped that there would be more betterness, but there's just not, and there's nothing there to be better.
And so your
Um,
focus is to become healthier so that you can have that
so
surgery
I
safely.
have this surgery so then I can do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
A friend, a
So you have a
friend,
great why.
thanks. I have a friend who had knee surgery. I don't remember exactly when. She got down on the floor to get something that fell while we were getting ready for this ladies' day. And I said, I aspire to doing that. And somebody else said, what? And I said, oh, she just got down on the floor and got back up. And I said, I aspire to do that. And she's like, well, I can get down. She said, I've got down on the floor, but I couldn't get back up. I said, that's exactly my point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do. I mean, jokingly, I said, we went on a field trip to pumpkin patch place with a lot of other activities.
Yeah.
It turns out there's this huge slide that goes down a hill, and you sit on burlap sacks and go down the hill.
Yeah.
And we lost my grandson, which is an unusual thing.
Mm.
The other grandmother was with me. That's because I can't walk. I can't go after him quickly if I needed to, which usually we don't have to.
Right.
We didn't know where he went. Well, I went with David. Well, you didn't tell us you went with David. And so she found him over there, and she has a couple videos. There's no blooming way I could have been down there and back up. Not even to walk. I mean, it's a hill. It's
Right.
pretty cool if you can do it. But she walked all the way down to the bottom, and which meant she walked all the way back up.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
way. I don't know. I don't know what I would have done if I'd had to go down there and rescue him or anything.
Yeah.
Would have had to ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
Always.
I'd gotten down the end, we'd been calling the rescue squad to come lift me out of there.
Yeah. So
But
when you were there with that 2022 with the knees and the puffiness and all of that, how did you seek out a coach?
some of the same people, including Christina, but some of the same people from way back 2000 are in a Trim Healthy Mama group that's um, it's just some of the same people. It does have men, unofficial. That group has men, as opposed to a lot of the other groups that are exclusive. But so there's some things you don't talk about in that group.
Right.
But somebody had just mentioned something again recently. The group's kind of quiet. But somebody had said something, and I went, oh, wait, maybe somebody there I felt like somebody had said something about a coach. So I went on and I said, have any of y'all used coaches one-on-one, especially one-on-one? Because I'm not a, that's what I needed. And I knew that. And I'm in Blooms now too, but it's still, Blooms is great, but I'm still not a group person.
That's okay. You don't
I
have to
don't,
be.
so I went on there and I said, has anybody done one-on-one? And I mean, I asked about coaching, but and then was specific in my question too. And I don't know if anybody actually had done one-on-one with you at that point, but you were mentioned multiple times. Other people were mentioned too, but you got the most votes.
Well,
At least I don't remember who else got mentioned, but there's somebody who I'd signed up for their newsletter or whatever, and I still get it. And she's got lots of good tips, but her style,
Mhm.
her way of wording her program still doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Okay. That's not, you're mine. It don't matter.
Every time I see her wording, and I'm not going to say, but I mentioned it to you once, but her wording does not attract me. There are other people it would attract greatly.
Right.
So, and I don't know if she does one-on-ones anyway. All of the things I see her mention are a group.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm very glad to have met you, and you got so many rave reviews.
Yeah.
I'd still like to end up being in a buddy group. I mean, I do check in with Christina. We're neither one good at it.
You're not good at it. Y'all need a Amy in your group that's gonna be
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. We that's the thing. We'll converse and then we don't.
yeah, yeah. Well, what would you say helped you the most with one-on-one?
Knowing that somebody cared and knew what I was doing, and we could speak the same language. I mean,
Mm.
that's what I needed.
Yep. That's almost exactly what you told me during our discovery call.
Because my friends, the other grandmother, for instance, I mean, she supports me, and on Sunday we get together on Sunday, and this is the reason that I can't do the Blooms live, because we have a standing
Yeah.
appointment, and it
And
really
you should
is,
keep that for
and
sure.
it really is the same time because it's after church.
Right.
So within a few minutes, it's at the same time all the time. Well, I tried to do some hustle stuff. I did some hustle stuff on Sunday afternoon after I cleaned up some of the things from making all these desserts, and my kitchen's still sticky. And I just found some sticky. I'm like, what is this? But I cut up we always have kind of a nacho dip, or almost always have kind of a nacho dip. And I cut up my celery, and I cut up my carrot, and I had it all in the container, and I cut up the rest of the celery and put it in a cup in the fridge. The good thing about that is I've been eating off that all week. But and I had put chocolate chips in a container so I'd have dessert, and went to church, was walking back to the car, and I said, I didn't bring my food. It's in the bag. It's in the bag right here, sitting right here, because I had a bunch of other stuff to carry to somebody else. And so I had all these bags in my hand, and that one was sitting right here. And I told her, I said, I don't know what to do.
Oh no.
She's like, well, I've got some green beans. She cooks. I love her green beans. They're an S. Although maybe not quite as much now because she changed an ingredient, but still they're an S. I love her green beans. And she likes them okay, but she always gives me leftovers. And then she said, I got some ham, and she said, I have that poppy seed chicken. That's a different meal. She just fixed me a chicken breast. I love puppy seed chicken, and I know
Mm,
there's alternatives out there, but she was feeding other people. That wasn't.
right. I understand.
And so she said, I have that puppy seed chicken I can finish and something else. And so I said, okay, I can do that. And that's what I had. I had green beans and
Made it
ham
work.
and ham and seems like there was one more something, but I don't remember what it's in the picture if it's there. And that worked. That was fine. That was fine. But by now she could think of a few things to suggest that she had.
Oh, that's awesome.
When I eat out, which is when people will see the most often see what it is I'm eating.
Mm,
If somebody was watching me, they would think Trim Healthy Mama is really hard
mm,
because I have a lot of food allergies,
right.
allergies, sensitivities, things that don't do well for me. And my gut has healed some, but there are things I still can't eat. I have not been able to eat cucumbers or bell peppers of any color since I got pregnant in 1987.
Wow.
About now in 1980, late October in 1987. Um, and I can't. I can occasionally do a pickled. I can do pickles, certain pickles.
Hmm.
I can occasionally do like a refrigerator pickle if I'm really, really, really super in the mood. But I have to only eat a bite or two because they don't do my stomach well. Um, and that's one thing I appreciate that, you're like, well, if you don't you like cucumbers, don't eat cucumbers. It's not that I don't like them. I used to
They don't
like them
like you.
all. I used to like them. I used to love peppers. My mom, we went to a potluck once. She goes with crunchy people. Crunchy depends on your terminology, but this was a very granola-y potluck. I can just picture it now. There and this could easily be adapted to Trim Healthy Mama. I don't remember all the ingredients, but it was 3 colors of peppers cut in rings, um, and onions, and then like oil and vinegar, and I don't remember what spices. I doubt there was any sugar. Oh, it probably had some kind of cheese. I would guess maybe feta, but I don't remember for sure. So not a lot, but something strong. Or it could have been, no, I don't think it was Parmesan. Um, that was so good. I
Mm,
remember how much I liked that salad,
right.
and I haven't been able to eat it for 46 years, but I used to love those. I used to like cucumbers.
Yeah.
I can't eat any of them now.
No, that's all right
But
though.
celery, and I can eat peas, and there are lots of people like, ooh, peas. Um,
I love some peas. Well, it's
and
awesome because you've been able to, and I've watched you do this over the year that we've been together one on one. You make it happen. Like you just figure it out, And I know some days are harder than others, but you do a really good job at that of troubleshooting and just sticking to what your body needs.
thank you.
Mhm.
That's I did learn, for those out there who have fuzzy stomachs, don't eat celery for breakfast. It's a bad
No celery at breakfast time.
idea. Eat celery for breakfast. I don't care when else you can eat it. Just don't eat it for breakfast.
I love it.
I'm tempted. I like celery, and there's some in my refrigerator right now because I cut it and didn't take it with me. But it's no, I can eat it for well, not midnight snack. I have to take pills in the evening that have to have food, and I ate it then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I have trouble with lettuce, and it wasn't until around 2000 that somebody introduced me to romaine lettuce. I don't think I'd ever eaten it before, and I found
Wow.
out I could eat romaine. And then from there, I branched out, and I found out there's a couple of other leaf lettuces that I can eat,
Mhm.
and things healed enough. I didn't know that I had leaky gut. Um, having collagen frequently, even in France, that's another story. Somebody sent me a care package, knew I was doing THM, and sent me some what's that? The collagen in the green can.
Yep.
And actually not collagen, gelatin in a green can. And I'm
Okay.
like, how am I going to use this? Well, one thing that I can drink hot is tea. And I could get oolong tea there, but
Mm-hmm.
it's expensive. It's
Yeah.
expensive. You had to go to a tea shop to get oolong.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Yeah. It was kind of cool, except it was expensive. And so I've been drinking oolong tea with gelatin or collagen in it since sometime in 2000, it was probably 2015 when I got that gelatin and started trying it. Not long ago, I thought, well, I don't need to have the collagen because I already had it in something else, or I'm going to have it in something else, or I got the chocolate collagen and I had some. I thought I don't need it in my tea. Let me just drink the tea. Do you know what? It doesn't taste right without it.
That's funny. Oh my gosh. It's so weird how we get used to stuff, isn't it?
And
Yeah.
then the other way around, it was before we went to France that I figured out that I could drink coffee, only it had to be very sweet, very milky, and preferably cold.
Hmm.
Um, but
Which we've trimified.
we have, but
Mhm.
since I've been in this year, I've been able to start drinking it in an E setting, which was huge for me. The first time I'm like, oh, this is gonna be um, but still sweet, still cold, but with some almond milk.
Mhm.
Um, because usually there's something else in there that also has fat.
Yeah.
So
Right.
trying to keep it down.
Right.
And so I found that I can do it. And I still can't drink it black. I found coffee in my
Me
fridge.
either.
I found coffee in my fridge from camp. I'm like, what is that? Um, and I thought, is that coffee? Is that from camp? And because I drink it cold, so I don't care. When there's leftover coffee after breakfast, I pour it in a jar and put it in the fridge. I can have it
Oh, okay.
when I want it. And I'm not taking anybody else's because they already got everything they were gonna
Right,
have.
right, right.
And yes, I can drink it then, but if I don't have to make another pot, I'm just gonna wait and let them.
Right.
Plus, I was having breakfast, and we were on a no nut policy for that particular camp. There was no nuts, so I couldn't do my e coffee. I had to. That's where I had to adapt.
Yeah.
So I was saving the coffee for later, and so I thought, is this coffee? And I opened it and I took a little taste.
Nope. Can't do
Yes.
black coffee.
Oh, 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 that was I was like bah, 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 hairball. Bah. Anyway, um, but I yeah, there are things that have changed that my tastes have changed. I didn't ask me a year ago, I'd be like, you're crazy. There's no way that's not ever gonna
Right.
happen.
Right.
Still not gonna happen black. It's just not.
Well, I just think that's kind of silly, but I know people love it. I'm not even gonna try. It's fine. So I know you've changed the way you eat. I know that you have changed the way you view food. And would you say that you've changed the way that you view yourself?
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Um, this my mom once said, and she's never gonna hear this because I'm never gonna let her.
Hmm.
She once said, well, if you lost weight, you'd be pretty.
Oh,
I look in the mirror and I'm like, you're pretty anyway.
you are.
Um, and I don't think she thinks that anymore. And I don't think she thought it for long even then,
Right.
but she did say it.
Yeah.
And she did mean it at that moment. Um, but I'm never gonna tell her she said that. because then I'd never hear the end of it the other way.
Yeah.
She's starting to have mental things that she doesn't realize she's having.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to add to them.
Yeah. So you came to my conference. What led you to that decision?
I wanted to be part of the group.
Hmm.
And I wanted to meet you.
Of course you did.
And you were overwhelmed.
A little bit. It was just, oh man, it was so amazing. And I just kept going, they're all here. You know, it was so awesome. Can't wait to do it again.
I have it on my calendar.
Good. So what would you say were your top few things coming from the conference?
Um, well, getting to meet people. I still didn't get my buddy group. That's okay. Other people did. I mean, like I said, I do have friends, Christina, and Laura Rollerson.
Yeah.
But Laura's got a group, and
Well, after this podcast, they might inundate you with some requests.
okay, y'all, I don't know how to do Marco Polo.
They'll teach you. It's easy. You'll figure it out.
And I will respond, but I'm not good at remembering to be the one to initiate all the time.
Right. You need an initiator in the group.
Yes, that's not me, not in this case.
Yeah. What else?
I don't know. Took lots of notes, and I don't remember what I wrote down.
That's okay. That's okay. You didn't know I was going to ask you about that. What would you say have been a few of your top takeaways from doing one-on-one?
Well, I definitely have a better handle on E's and FPs because
Girl, was S Palooza.
Yeah, and in France, the first time I was doing it on my own, I wasn't never doing E's, but I was definitely never doing FPs because I was afraid I was going to be hungry. Because I was still feeling hungry. That's something that was hard for me to learn, was how much to eat, because it's not restricted, sort of not restricted, but you don't want to eat too much because what's the point then? But it's how much to eat to last for 3 hours. And I really, really didn't have a handle on FP. I mean, I'm like, how can you possibly eat enough in an FP to not be hungry later? And from you, whether in one-on-one or Blooms or just your collagen coffee, which I don't do collagen coffee itself that often, but I do the collagen tea and then whey and what is that? It is coffee. The super coffee.
Yeah.
That I remember taking a screenshot. I know you laughed at people who take screenshots of your
love
food.
it. It is. I'm not laughing at it at all. At all. It just cracks me up. I'm like, I'm so glad this is helpful. And one of my followers let me know that I did not do a live grocery haul this week. I'm like, I'm sorry.
No, you
didn't. I'm sorry. I don't owe y'all anything.
in your breakfast thing yesterday, you said you had like 40. You did the whole thing in like 25 minutes or something. 20 minutes.
15. I left here at 8:45 and at 9:01 I was on my way back going to the pig. I didn't have time to do a live though. I accidentally still had one of my Calendly links where people could talk to me on Tuesday mornings instead of when I missed whenever I changed my live in the kitchens and group coaching from Thursday to Tuesday. Anyway, so I had one scheduled for 9:30 and the live in the kitchen starts at 10. Yeah. So there was no live grocery haul happening. Sorry. Yeah.
But I remember taking a screenshot of the super coffee and then not seeing it for a while. And shout out if anybody ever goes to Buc-ee's, which I've only done once, but they have a lot of them. They also have a different product from the same company that's got sucralose in it. I'm like, oh, what's that? The label looks different, but it's still Super Coffee brand. So if you see that different label, read it.
Yeah. Always
And
read those ingredients. You never know when they'll change things.
that's annoying. One of the flavors that's mostly on plan has something. There was something in it that I thought, well, I've already bought it and it's definitely not going to kill me. And it's one of those, it'll be better than nothing if that's the alternative.
Yeah.
But I probably won't get it again. There was one with pea protein that I just didn't love.
Oh, okay.
I think it was okay, but I can't remember what the one ingredient in there that I thought, oh.
I haven't even seen them in months around here. So I haven't had any, but that's okay.
Our one grocery store that didn't used to have them now has them in the cold by the cash.
Grab and go. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What would you say are your favorite non-skill victories from this past year?
Well, it is kind of nice when people tell you look like you've lost weight.
Well, you have.
Yes, I have. Thank you.
By the way, what you turned in was 32 inches and 73 pounds, but I know the pounds is more now.
70. Okay, we're not going to count the part where I gained weight because
no, we're not.
That'll go away. 76.5 pounds
76.
in exactly a year. That was the 1 year was 76.5 pounds and however many inches you said, because I did the weighing and measuring on the same date.
Yep.
And those two pictures, that's 1 year on the same date. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I really appreciate your help and all that. I was trying to see if
you are very welcome.
I was trying to see if there's anything we hadn't really. I made a couple notes in case you said, did I have anything else? And
I would love for you to read those. Tell me.
Oh, mostly mostly you've talked about it. You know, if you can't eat the cucumbers, eat the green beans.
Yeah.
Amen. I can eat green beans for breakfast. Go figure, you know. Oh, I've realized I have a hard time with cooked cauliflower, but I can eat raw cauliflower. What?
It's usually opposite. That's hilarious.
I cannot eat raw broccoli. I haven't been able to eat raw broccoli for 35 years, wow. 36 years. But I can eat cooked broccoli. But I can eat raw cauliflower too, within a limit. But I think I'm going to have to give some, well, I've got one more thing I'm going to try with the cooked cauliflower because I've got pre-riced cauliflower. Otherwise, I'm going to have to give it to somebody else. This is my stomach was unhappy, almost as bad as cheese, or maybe even worse. It doesn't smell the same.
I feel you, girl. That dairy.
But my stomach, yeah. My stomach is just,
you're getting there though. It's much better. It's much better, I know.
Yeah, and I've also been careful with things, but the cheese thing, okay. I have other problems with dairy, but just in the last, I don't know, 3 months maybe is when I really started noticing cheese giving me stomach aches. And I'm still not going to say that Swiss cheese isn't worse because that was the first one. And then it happened again. And I went back and looked and I'm like, oh, I did have Swiss cheese both of those times.
Yeah. And it's sad to give up stuff like that. But at the same time, it's worth it. It really is. Because if your stomach is that aggressive against it, your body does not need it. So
yeah. And it was like both of those times, it was like 7 hours between meals because I was just feeling so sick. I didn't feel hungry. I definitely didn't want to eat anything. And I wasn't even thinking about collagen at that moment.
Right. I understand.
Although I've gotten back on GGMS and it's certainly not hurting anything. Somebody recently asked about what to eat when they're feeling nauseated from like whatever kind of therapy they're about to have or surgery or something that they're about to have. And if you aren't already used to it, I'm not sure if trying it while you're sick is a good idea. But I've been surprised how many times it really does help. Um, who would have thought?
Yep.
Um, and right before camp, I know I told you, right before camp, I had my husband was gone, and I had two things I had to do before. There was some live at, was it talking? Maybe I was supposed to be talking to you. That can't be right. Maybe it was. There was something you were doing. I think it was you. You were doing something live in the evening on a Thursday. That's why it's weird.
Maybe it's the makeup.
Maybe.
Might have been a makeup live.
Whatever it was, I had a time slot that had to be back, and I had two errands I had to run. And later I'm like, I voluntarily left the house at 6:30 at night and went and ran two errands. Yes, because I think I was in the parking lot talking to you on that I think so. Um, I got both of the errands done and back in the car in time to.
Wow.
And one of them was going through Lowe's. And for those who don't get sore legs walking through Lowe's, bully on you. Good for you. I don't know what it is about their floor. Other stores have concrete floors. I don't know what's wrong with Lowe's floor.
They have extra strong concrete.
Something. Because I'm in a different store. I'm like, well, their floor's concrete too. Why is Lowe's so painful?
Oh my God.
But one of my errands was to go to Lowe's and I went and I got the things I needed. That I like the little thing on their website that tells you what aisle and what bin it's in. That's very, very helpful. Thank you, Lowe's. But I had all that information. I got my stuff. I checked out. I went to Big Lots. I bought a sofa and put it on hold to come pick it up later, and left. And I got it all done. And I'm like, I'm not dead.
The energy increase has just been incredible.
Energy increases. It was crazy. And then after camp, I was trying to figure out what I had been doing. I don't know if I was on GGMS all the time or not, but I know I was on it some. So I'm like, okay, well, let's try it.
Yeah, I love it.
It's certainly not hurting. The camp takes it out of me.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else you want to share?
If you're not sure if it's working, just keep trying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know, collagen in your stuff is good for you.
Works.
And if you can have it. I mean, I'm sure there are people who have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also, if you use gelatin in your tea, drink it while it's warm. I did taste it. It's not good, but you can rewarm it and reliquefy it. I'm just saying.
That is so awesome. I think gelatin is like an unsung hero. I think people forget about it because I talk about, that light progresso soup, speaking of when you're sick or recovering, and the light progresso soup, the chicken noodle, I'll add gelatin and nutritional yeast, and it just helps so much. And I've told somebody the other day and they were like, gelatin? And I'm like, yeah, it just dissolves. It's hot. Like, throw it in there, man. Boost yourself.
One thing, I did put it in something that I was trying to boost. Don't put it in the pot on the stove when it's hot, because it all sunk to the bottom and it just stuck to the bottom of the pot.
Gotta whisk.
And then I had to scrape it out, and that was gross.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't just toss it in the hot pot. Yeah. Even with the stuff, don't just toss it in the hot pot.
Sprinkle and whisk. That's what I do.
Nutritional yeast is something else. I had some and I tried it a little bit, but I'm still not entirely sure where all to put it. But I started sprinkling it on my green beans for breakfast And today I was craving butter, so I had butter with it too. You ever crave butter?
Yeah.
But but the nutritional yeast really, I honestly was thinking, how could I get it to where I can eat the green beans without the butter? So if I needed to have them with an E, although what I usually have is an E for breakfast, I don't want green beans with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Green beans with my Bam cake. No, I'm
No,
sorry.
no.
No.
You can only go so far.
Yeah.
Oh my
There's
God. So good.
and
You have done so much. Mm.
thank you. And speaking of the Bam cake, I made one. No, I made it. It's a giant blueberry
Blueberry
pan.
pancake. Mm-hmm.
I make it in a big pan, which is anyway. And I used cream cheese, uh, flavoring. There was what's that pound cake recipe that I still haven't made that was
Yes,
floating
the rural
around, and
route
I
in North Dakota, her beautiful pound cake has that cream cheese extract. Yep.
really need to make that, but I keep forgetting. And but I bought the cream cheese extract because I figured I couldn't make it if I didn't have it. And I tried it in the blueberry pancake. If anybody makes that pancake and is kind of try it with that.
Level
That
up with some extra
elevated
cream cheese extract. That's a good tip. Great tip. I
that
love it.
that elevated it a lot. Um, but I I make all those the the pancake and the Bam, and I've tried a couple of the others. I want to try Annie Pearl's muffins, but I still haven't done it, mostly because I don't like making muffins. I know you could
You
probably
can
put it
just
in
make
the
them
pan.
as a cake. Yeah. Yeah.
Probably put it in the pan too. I just have so many bananas in my freezer, which is another subject. But I have to use up bananas.
Yeah.
Um, but the I made four recipes of things. Bananas and the blueberries and blueberry pancake and a different banana. And I just cut them up. I got really fussy because it came out lopsided.
Mm.
And so somebody be like, that's just a little too much. I have a kitchen scale and I weighed the whole thing because I wasn't going to get, if we're trying to be even here, I wasn't going to get it even because it wasn't even.
Oh
So I
man.
weighed it and cut it in pieces and weighed them. And they weren't
Wow.
perfect, but they were close, a lot closer than they would have been because it
You did
was,
more than I did would do.
I know, I'm sitting there going, somebody's going to think I'm crazy, but this is the wonkiest. It was just so uneven that there was no way to cut it. But I've been really glad that I had as many of them done because I keep having mornings when I have to go someplace, and that's the easiest thing. I know that you said people on menopause aren't that's not necessary, and whatever else is going on here. Not necessarily the best to have an E for breakfast, but there are times that for me, if I'm going to have an E, it's going to have to be breakfast. And also with that cake, it's more portable.
Right.
It's just, or if you have it in muffins, it's more portable. And I've got the Canadian bacon in the freezer already portioned out in sections in a Ziploc, and so I can pull it out in the morning. Pull it out tonight if I remember. I need to. I don't really like eating it frozen. It's kind of
Yeah.
um,
Well,
it's
I'm not sure if you misheard or if I misspoke, but I would say menopause, a breakfast of an E would be good. But people with PCOS, pre-diabetes, diabetes, that kind of thing, E's may not be the best choice most mornings. Yeah.
I have, and that's the thing. I have type 2 diabetes, but I'm actually, how many people want to go to that doctor's appointment?
Mm.
But it's in like
Ready?
2 weeks. It's in like 2 weeks, and I want to see
Yeah.
what it says on their scale. And we discussed it at my last appointment to go off of Jardiance. And it got mixed. It got mixed up, but I wanted to be off of it for a little while before the next blood test
Mm.
that I'm hoping that being on a plan for a year plus by then will show the difference and show that it's not the Jardiance, because
Right.
Jardiance causes other issues. And I don't need that in my life.
No, you don't. You don't. Well, I look forward to hearing about that. That's going to be exciting. Well, we're
Yep.
about out of time. Thank you so much for sharing your journey here. I know that you were a little nervous when I first asked, but you did great. You
Thank
did such a
you.
good job sharing. You're so
And thank you
welcome.
so much for all your help, and keep helping. And I just need to remember to pay you for next time.
Oh, it'll be fine. I got it. It's all good.
It's
Thank
like,
you,
I
Bridget.
got
You
your
tell them
credit
bye.
card number already.
Oh, you're so funny. Well, thank you so, so much. You want to tell them bye?
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. I love it.